and 20%, you won't sacrifice anything, and you'll have a leg up. But whether we want to acknowledge it or not, that the animal welfare, the animal rights people are out there. The organic people get tremendous pressure from those people that they want to buy their dairy products from cattle that's never had the dehorning process done. So just something to take home and think about.
Yeah, as far as, yeah, I want to just thank them for having us here. It's been an honor to be here. And as far as the future of poult, if you're breeding Holstein cattle, the question isn't really anymore if you're going to use poult, it's when you're going to use poult. And I believe that the breed's going to be almost entirely poult in the future. I know it will be. And the question is just when you're going to get on board with that. There's a lot of genetics available in that. There was a question earlier about how to get it into a herd. If you use several homozygous poult bulls, or if you maybe would really want to be aggressive, you could switch to entirely homozygous poult bulls, and in 9 months you can throw your dehorner away. So there's ways to get it in the herd quickly, and I think that's going to be growing very much in the next several years. So it's something to get on board with. And as far as genetic advancement, when you do a regular mating, let's say you have just a high genomic one, and let's say you're breeding one that's, let's say you're at 2400 GTPI, you have heifer breeding, and you want to do a mating to advance that. So you use a 2600 GTPI bull in that, you're going to get a pairing average of 2500. And when you show people this kind of animals, they're not going to see a difference between that one that's at 2500 and the one that's at 2200. But if you have one that's at 2200 and full, you're going to be able to see that. That's a genetic gain you can get in one generation, and it's there, and you secured that, and it's going to stay in that pedigree. So with one generation, you can change your animals. When you do a regular mating without any trait matings like that, you are simply trying to get one that's a little better than its mother or something. And we've all seen that work, and we've all seen it not work, where you do a mating to a really good animal, to a really good bull, and you get marginal animals. It just happens. It's the way genetics work, and then other times it'll do really good. But if you insert a specific gene like poult, you have that genetic advancement right off the bat, either 50 or 100% of the time. So that's you've added a lot of value in one generation.
Yeah, I think just touching on what John had said about the animal rights thing too, it's something that nobody really wants to talk about, and everybody knows it's there. This example I had last year was at World Dairy Expo. They had virtual farm tours, and it was in an audience much like this. Golden Oaks was speaking there. Ethan was the speaker. All of a sudden, from the crowd, it was that David Byer, the same guy you referenced, stood up in the crowd and said, "I'm from PETA," and asked about dehorning. The group could have went just silent. And then when he asked the question to Ethan, Ethan's response, they bred one of the best, most prominent poult cows of recent time, Golden Oak Perk Gray, and he says, "We're using poult genetics." That response diverts the fight. That farm's making an effort to introduce something that's better. So you don't have a fight with somebody if you're starting to do something that's towards the positive, towards the good. If you have an argument and you say something positive, that just diffuses the argument. So that's one way I like to look at how you can handle animal rights. If you're using poult, then they don't have an argument. As far as the future too, just what Nate touched on too, homozygous poult or 100% poult. If I look at commercial farmers wanting to implement it in their herd, they want a product that has 100% success rate. They don't want 50%. So I'm going to see a further, more poult, homozygous poult bulls need to be available for use commercially, and I think you're just going to see that trend continue as well. So, but future's bright for poult, and credit again to breeders that have developed it and happen to help promote it.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you coming from various distances this morning or last night. So do we have time for any more questions? Or are we done? Okay.
John, this will be a question for you. We had our National Holstein Convention a month ago. No discussion about poll. You were there. I was there on the floor all the time. And you're on the GAC committee. What's the discussion regarding poll in the GAC committee? Are you at liberty?
Actually, at the actual GAC committee meeting, there's a fair bit of discussion on poll, and the biggest thing now is labeling it and how to label it that everyone understands it. And it's going to be, it's going to be a learning curve for everyone. But they have a couple really good people working on it. Holstein does, to their credit, Dr. Ben Dorhorst, and there's another or two that's working closely with Holstein. So we just had a discussion this morning about suggesting that they put weight hold in the TPI formula in order to either give credit to polled if the animal's polled, or take away weight if they're horned, in order to try to put more emphasis on polled. I'm not the person to do that because they think, well, he's just self-serving, but I'm not sure it's going to come to that, but I think the interest in polled is at this point growing fast enough. They don't need to do a whole lot more to push it along. But Holstein's always kind of been slow at acknowledging it, and John Gross, the director that they threw out, if it wasn't for him, he was the guy that got the P labeled on Holstein pedigrees. It was Gross's suggestion that they start labeling polled, and that's the first Holstein ever did anything as far as labeling polled. So, yeah, for as much talk about, Holstein hasn't done a whole lot with it, but they know it's there, and they're working on labeling it correctly.
All right, thank you guys for joining us today. If you guys want to give these gentlemen a round of applause.
Thank you, Kim, and panel members. This facility is available, so if our panel members are going to stick around, I would expect they'd be glad to speak to you individually if you want to get acquainted or chat with some of them. So make yourselves at home. We've still got some milk, and as long as our panel members want to stay, you may have the opportunity to chat with them. Thank you. Thanks for coming, everybody.